The lecture hall at the Galactic Military Academy fell silent as Commander Zexthor's 3 eyes narrowed at the human sitting in the back row. Captain Rebecca Martinez sat with her arms crossed, no datapad in sight, no neural recorder blinking at her temple. Just, sitting there. Captain Martinez, the Zendari instructor's voice rippled with barely contained irritation. Perhaps you believe your species' recent admission to the Galactic Council exempts you from standard protocol? Or do humans simply not value the tactical wisdom being shared here? Rebecca didn't flinch. She'd been expecting this. It was always the same with the other species. They saw humanity's 200 years of space travel as infantile compared to their millennia. They lectured. They condescended. And they never, ever expected what came next. With respect, Commander, she said, her voice level and clear, I'm not taking notes because you're reading from my debrief reports. The lecture hall erupted. 17 different species made 17 different sounds of disbelief, anger, and confusion. Commander Zexthor's skin flushed a deep purple, a sign of either rage or embarrassment in Zendari physiology. Possibly both. Explain yourself, human. Rebecca stood, and despite being one of the smallest beings in the room, every eye turned to her. Section 7, Paragraph 4 of your lecture, the flanking maneuver through asteroid fields using gravitational slingshots. That's from my report on the Battle of Proxima Station, August 2347. The bit about using debris clouds for sensor confusion. Mine too, from the Kepler offensive. And the section on psychological warfare through calculated retreat, that's almost word for word from my analysis of the Arcturus campaign. Commander Zexthor's translator unit crackled. Preposterous. These tactics have been tested and refined over 6,000 years of galactic military doctrine. Your species has barely left your cradle world. Then explain this. Rebecca pulled up her wrist display, projecting 3 documents into the air. Her service record glowed in crisp blue holographic text. Lieutenant Rebecca Martinez, survived the First Contact War. Captain Rebecca Martinez, tactical officer during humanity's integration conflicts. These reports were filed with Galactic Command 3 years ago. Your lecture syllabus was updated 2 years ago. A Krithian officer in the 3rd row, his chitinous plates clicking nervously, spoke up. The human speaks truth. I cross-referenced the databases. 17 tactical innovations attributed to ancient galactic wisdom, in our current curriculum, all originated from human debrief reports filed between 2347 and 2351. The silence that followed was deafening. Commander Zexthor's voice was quieter now, dangerous. How? How does a species that achieved faster-than-light travel barely 2 centuries ago develop tactics that rival civilizations 10,000 years older? Rebecca's laugh was bitter. She'd been asked this question 1,000 times, in 1,000 different ways. No one ever liked the answer. Because we've been fighting each other for our entire existence, she said. Before we reached the stars, we'd already perfected orbital bombardment. We'd weaponized asteroids before we ever mined them. We developed electromagnetic pulse weapons not for some hypothetical alien invasion, but to use against our own cities. When you species found us, we just finished a century where we came within hours of rendering our homeworld uninhabitable. Multiple times. She walked down the aisle, and beings that outmassed her 3-to-1 shifted uncomfortably in their seats. You know what we call the 20th century? The bloodiest 100 years in human history. We killed 100 million of our own people. We split the atom and immediately thought, how can we make this into a bomb? We reached the moon and wondered if we could put weapons platforms there. Rebecca stopped at the front of the lecture hall, standing beside the stunned Commander Zexthor. Your species achieved peace 10,000 years ago and then maintained it through doctrine and tradition. You haven't fought a real war in millennia. The tactics you're teaching, they're from simulation models. War games. Theoretical scenarios. She tapped her temple. Our tactics come from survival. From desperation. From the absolute certainty that if we didn't innovate, if we didn't think faster and meaner than the enemy, our entire species would cease to exist. A Valerian student, her crystalline form refracting the lecture hall's light into rainbow patterns, asked the question everyone was thinking. Are all humans like you? Warriors born? No, Rebecca said softly. That's what makes it worse. Most humans want peace. We dream of it. We write songs and poetry about it. But when peace fails, and it always eventually fails, we remember 10,000 years of survival instincts. We remember that our ancestors didn't become apex predators on our world by being gentle. They became apex predators by being the most adaptable, most creative, most absolutely ruthless species on a planet that was actively trying to kill everything on it. She pulled up another hologram, Earth, rotating slowly. Hurricanes spiraled across its surface. Volcanic chains glowed red. Our homeworld has an extinction-level event roughly every 100 million years. The species that evolved there learned to survive the unsurvivable. And when we turned that survival instinct toward each other. She let the thought hang in the air. Commander Zexthor finally spoke, his voice stripped of its earlier arrogance. Why are you here, then? If your tactics are superior, if you've already surpassed our doctrine, why attend the academy? Rebecca smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Because tactics without wisdom is just efficient killing. You've had peace for 10,000 years. You've built civilizations that span galaxies. You've created art and culture and philosophy that we're still trying to understand. We need that. Humanity needs to learn that our way, constant conflict, endless war, isn't the only way. Maybe it's not even the best way. She moved toward the door, then paused. But make no mistake, Commander. If war comes to the Galactic Council, if something out there threatens all of us, you're going to want humans on the front lines. Because we've been preparing for that war since we first looked up at the stars and wondered if something out there might want to hurt us. The door slid shut behind her, leaving a lecture hall full of beings who suddenly understood why humanity's admission to the Galactic Council had been so controversial. And why, despite every reservation, it had been approved. Because sometimes, the galaxy needed monsters to fight monsters. And humanity had spent 10,000 years perfecting the role.